Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK back at you with another video here to break down the Monday night showdown slate between the Browns and the Jets. Real quick, let's go over my showdown lineup from last night, from Sunday night. So, Dallas Goedert was a guy that I talked about that I liked as a value play, get him out. He was just too cheap for the amount of snaps he was playing and the good matchup. Unfortunately, he injured himself in warmups and did not play any snaps, so really unfortunate there. Got unlucky, but you can't do anything about injuries, really. Zach Ertz was a guy I talked about liking. The two Philadelphia receivers, Deshaun Jackson and what's his name, Alshon Jeffrey, both got injured. So that, did get a little lucky there with, the boost to Zach Ertz. Julio Jones, I said he had the most upside, ended up scoring the most points on the slate. I put both quarterbacks in there because those, going to be a high, or projected to be a high scoring game. It was, 24-20, so kind of in that mid-range. Darren Sproles was a guy that was risky, but had some upside. I talked about Miles Sanders is probably the safest. He ended up doing the best. Sproles, I feel like, didn't get as many snaps as he did in week 1. I feel like I saw a lot of Miles Sanders out there. Now, I didn't watch the whole game. I went to bed at halftime, but I feel like I didn't see Sproles out there as much as he was in week 1. So, yeah, that was it. I mean, again, injury for Goddard. Can't really do much about that, and I have him in the captain spot. So, let's see if we can get some luck on our side here for this Monday night showdown slate. So a pretty ugly game, I'm not going to lie, between Cleveland and the Jets. Bovada right now has it listed as a 45 over-under and a 7-point spread, Cleveland being favored. So let's look into some snap counts here for week 1 for both teams. So if we look at the Jets, a couple interesting things to note. One, Le'Veon playing on 100% of the snaps. Did not expect that. Now he does have a shoulder injury. He's listed as questionable, but I fully expect him to play. I wouldn't expect him to see 100% of the snaps, though. Maybe like 75 to 80%, I think. So I do think Ty Montgomery will get a little bit more work here in week 2. The 3 wide receivers played in almost every single snap. That would be Robbie Anderson, Enunwa, and Jameson Crowder. I would say Enunwa is out for the season, so I assume it's going to be Demaryius Thomas that picks up that number 3 role. But he's also listed as questionable, so if he doesn't play, then it's going to be Josh Bellamy most likely. So that's a situation we got to monitor. Ryan Griffin put in 94% of the snaps. He's priced at $800 on DraftKings. That's just too cheap. So he's a value guy that I do like. And then if we look to the Browns real quick, Nick Chubb played in 70% of the snap. Dontrell Hilliard played in 18%, but he got injured. He's out for this game. So it's going to be D or Ness Johnson playing the backup role. And I assume he probably gets, 20 to 30%. So he's a value guy we can definitely consider. He looked pretty good in the preseason as well. Jarvis and Odell playing 100%. That's not really too surprising. Rashard Higgins and Ratley split the number 3 role. We got Higgins listed as questionable. So if he can't go, I think Ratley picks up most of that number 3 position. So I think he would be a pretty solid value play if there's no Rashard Higgins. If Higgins plays, I'm kind of down on both guys. Then Njoku playing 90%, kind of expected that. So that's basically it for the snap counts. So let's look into the players and the prices here for this showdown slate. So I feel like a lot of the Cleveland guys are going to be more popular just because people are going to be down on the Jets, obviously with no Sam Darnold. And again, this game should be more low scoring. 45, it was a little high. I expected it to be a little lower than that. But these showdown slates, the primetime games have been kind of ugly. The games that should have been high scoring games like Carolina and Tampa Bay, as well as Philly and Atlanta, have been kind of low scoring, so maybe this game that's projected to be more low scoring ends up turning into a shootout. Who knows? But again, these showdown slates don't risk a lot. There's a lot of variance involved, so don't go crazy on these slates for sure. But yeah, I guess we'll start at the top here with Odell. He's listed at 11.8. Yeah, he is the most upside, definitely, out of anyone on this slate. I mean, yeah, there's not really much else to say. I mean, I do like playing him in your captain spot. Again, I think he has the most upside of anyone, so really can't go wrong with Odell there. Le'Veon here at 11.6. So again, he played in 100% of the snaps. He's listed as questionable, that shoulder injury. I expect him to go, though. I wouldn't expect 100%, though, so, again, if I had to guess, I'd say 75 to 80%, but Le'Veon also does have a good amount of upside, and what I do like is he's a great PPR back as well. I like using him in the passing game. So Le'Veon, Odell, can't go wrong with either of these guys up top. The quarterbacks, so you got Baker here at 11.2, and then you got Trevor Siemian at 8.2. So obviously A pretty good discount here on Simeon compared to Mayfield. Mayfield's obviously the more safe option because Simeon, is the backup. But yeah, I mean, usually in like high over/under games, I want to try to get one or even both quarterbacks in my lineup. This game, more of a lower over/under, so I don't think it's necessary to play both quarterbacks. I would say probably you want to get one in there. You could go no quarterback lineup. This game could just turn into a really ugly defensive battle, so it's definitely possible to go no quarterbacks. But I think the safest option here is probably to play one of those two. Now Mayfield, again, if you have the salary, I think he's more safe. Simeon, obviously a $3,000 discount, but a little more risky because a little more unknown with him. Nick Chubb at 10K. Again, the Browns are favored by 7, so theoretically they should be playing with a lead here, which should mean more Nick Chubb work. So I don't mind him here at 10K at all. The downside is he's not the best pass catching back, but he's solid. He's not as good as Le'Veon, but he still can catch a few balls. Jarvis, a little discount here off Odell, about a 3,000 discount actually. Now it doesn't have as much upside, but is a good PPR receiver playing in the slot. I don't mind him here at 9K at all. I think he's perfectly fine. If you can't get up to Odell, I think Jarvis is fine. And then Jameson here at 8K. So the Jets obviously really like targeting him. Sam Darnold targeted him 17 times, 14 catches for 99 yards. I don't think we can expect that again, but I don't mind him here again. Like the Jets really like using their slot receivers, so I think Crowder is okay. Obviously, Robbie Anderson, a 7K is a $1,000 discount off Crowder. Now, didn't have the best Week 1 game, but he has probably more upside than Jameson Crowder just because he's going to run those deep routes. Crowder is just going to run more of those short routes. So I think Jameson Crowder probably the safer option. Robbie Anderson a bit more upside there at 7K. Then Njoku here at 5.8. Again, he played basically the whole game. He's a guy that Cleveland likes using in the red zone, so don't mind him here at all at 5.8. I think he's priced fairly. The Browns D, so the defenses, again, in high over/under games, I usually kind of cross them off. This game, more in the mid-range. Again, I expect it to be a little lower than 45, but a 45 is a range where we can definitely target the defenses. Now the Browns at 5.4K, that's a bit much to pay for a defense. Now again, this game could definitely turn into a really ugly game where both defenses are in the winning lineup. But yeah, 5.4K is a good amount to pay for the Browns. But they definitely do have the most upside. Again, they're playing the backup quarterback in Simeon. The two kickers, again, you really can't go wrong. You definitely can go one for a GBP lineup. I wouldn't go both. And then the Jets D, a pretty big discount there off the Browns. If I had to pick a defense, I think I would lean towards the Jets. Again, just because the $2,400 savings, as well as, Baker Mayfield turned the ball over a lot there in Week 1. So, yeah, I actually don't mind the Jets defense. I know they're missing a couple good pieces, but a 3K, I think if I was going to pick between the two, I'd lean towards taking the discount on the Jets. But again, if you had the salary, the Browns definitely more safe. And then cheap guys. So there's a lot of actually solid cheap options on the slate. So again, if Rashard Higgins misses, it's going to be Ratley here. It's going to be probably getting most of that number 3 role. So this is pretty big news we got to monitor here. If Higgins plays, I'm probably going to stay away from the situation. So I would assume both those guys kind of split the work. But if Higgins is out, I think Ratley would be a pretty solid play there at 1.8K. Ty Montgomery, he's definitely in play here at 1.6. I know got virtually no work there in Week 1, but Le'Veon's got that shoulder injury. I'd assume Montgomery gets more work here. Again, if I had to guess, probably like 20% of the work. He's a good PPR back as well, so I think Ty Montgomery definitely in play here at 1.6K. Bellamy. So if there's no Demaryius Thomas, I think I skipped over Demaryius Thomas. Oh, here it is, 3.8K. So if there's no Demaryius Thomas, it's going to be Bellamy that's going to get that number 3 role. So that's also another situation we got to monitor. Again, the number 3 role for the Jets playing like 90% of the snaps. So if it's Demaryius, I think he's a pretty solid play here at 3.8K. Again, hamstring issue does worry me, but he is a big body that can go to in the red zone. So wouldn't mind Demaryius there if he does play at 3.8K. Other really cheap options is Ryan Griffin. Again, he's the number 1 tight end for now until Chris Herndon comes back. I played in over 90% of the snaps. 800 is really cheap. Again, caught 3 catches, 3 balls for 10 yards. Not terrible, but for $800, he's going to be out there most of the game. I think he's a really solid cheap option. Other than that, I think that's basically it. So as far as the cheap options go, I think Ryan Griffin's probably going to be the most popular here at 800. Don't mind him at all. Again, there are a couple injury situations we got to monitor. Higgins and Demaryius Thomas. So if Higgins misses, it's going to be Ratley that I would pivot to at 1.8K. I would assume he gets most of that number 3 role. So definitely he would be a pretty solid play. And then Demaryius Thomas, if he misses, it's going to be Bellamy that picks up most of that work. So those are 2 injury situations we got to monitor. Yeah, as far as the defenses go, if you had the salary, the Browns definitely more safe. But if I had to pick between the 2, I would lean towards the Jets because that $2,400 savings. Both kickers are fine. Again, you can play one for GPP lineup for sure. And yeah, I think I covered basically all the players. So as far as captains go, I think for me, it's going to be, Odell is going to be the most popular captain. You definitely can go him. Again, I think he has the most upside. Contrarian captains, Le'Veon, I think goes a little bit lower owned because people are going to be worried about that shoulder injury. But again, he's a great PPR back, so he can definitely get you there in the captain spot. I think Nick Chubb might be pretty popular as well. I think it's going to be Odell and Nick Chubb, the 2 most popular in the captain spot. Yeah, I don't mind Nick Chubb there if Cleveland gets off to an early lead. The quarterbacks, I forget what the stat is, but I think it's like over 70% of the time, the winning Showdown lineup is either running back or wide receiver. So most of the time, I don't really like going quarterbacks unless it's going to be like a really, really high over-under game. This one, again, kind of more in the mid-range. So I don't think I want to go with Mayfield or Simeon in the captain spot. But if you do, if you go Mayfield in the captain or Simeon, you definitely want to get some correlation there. So play a couple of the receivers. So if you go Mayfield, maybe go Odell and Jarvis. Just again, get some correlation in your lineups. So yeah, I think it's going to be Odell and Nick Chubb the most popular. I don't mind Le'Veon as a pivot. Again, I think he goes a bit lower owned because of that injury. Other guys you can consider for the captain spot. I don't mind Jarvis. Again, not as much upside as Odell, but I think he's definitely still in play. The Jets receivers, Crowder a little more safe. Anderson has more upside, so a contrarian option could be Robbie Anderson. Njoku, too, I wouldn't mind there either. Again, I think he's going to be a bit more lower owned. Not a lot of people like going tight ends in their captain, but Njoku does have that touchdown upside. Or you could go with one of the really cheap options and then basically get, whoever else you want. So if you go, say, I don't know, Ryan Griffin, who I think is probably the most popular value play in the captain, then you got 9.7K remaining. You can almost get whoever you want. So, yeah, that's basically my breakdown here of the Showdown slate. Again, it's going to be a more ugly game. Showdown slates have a lot of variance, so don't go crazy on these slates. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Also, I will be live streaming about 30 minutes before lock. So it's going to be twitch.tv/DK_DFS. I will put that in the description below. I will give my analysis as we get, the 2 injury news that we're waiting on. Well, I guess 3 of Le'Veon, but I do expect him to play. Le'Veon, Demaryius Thomas, as well as Rashard Higgins, and I'll be answering any questions you guys have. So really appreciate you guys come out and check out the stream. And again, if you have been enjoying the content so far, if you're new to the channel, I'd really appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll be back for another video. I held my early look at the week 3 slate up on my channel either tonight or tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. So I will see you guys either in the stream or for the week 3 early look video. So I will see you guys then.